Hey everyone, CPAD here with another Exceed commentary. This is going to be game 2 of Erika versus Poiman in the Hallowed Knights tournament. I believe this is week 2 gameplay. Looks like the game's actually already started here. We have Erika on the Vatista versus Poiman on the Yuzuriha. I wish I had good insight on Vatista, but Vatista's one of those characters that I don't really grasp fully yet. I know she's a couple good boosts for game enders like Curse Commandment, and she's a lot of ultras, so her wild swings are actually somewhat reliable. But yeah, I don't really vibe with this character all too much, as we looks like we're gonna be zooming in on Yuzuriha's kit. Just a bunch of just really solid cards there in that kit. But looks like Vatista will be going first. I think Erika mold one. Looks like we actually have a change of playmat as well. Maybe that will change things and affect how the future goes. After that game one Carmine from Poiman. Looks like Poiman's done mulliganing. He's going to mulligan 3 cards. And we're off. So this is a best of 5 tournament. Actually, I don't need to mention that because I probably already mentioned it in the game 1 video, which I haven't recorded yet, but I'm pretty sure I will mention that. Turn 1 strike from Vatista. So Vatista has a couple fireballs in Mikoroseo and Lumen Stella, and this is the Lumen Stella, which will push out the Spike Like from Yuzu. Wow, well done. Well down there from Vatista. Of course, with her UA, she can push an additional 1 space, as well as draw 2. So Vatista going for kind of the slow fireball there. She has a fast fireball as well in Mikoroseo, which doesn't get stunned, but which will draw her 2 cards as well. But this is the high payout fireball, and Poiman unfortunately reacted with the spike instead of the dive, which would have beaten the Lumen Stella. So we have a bit of a turn 1 mix up here. Between those 2 fireballs, as Mix points out here. Thanks to Mix for providing the video, of course. And yeah, Vatista calls it out successfully, as we have an air dash coming in from Yuzuriha. Of course, Yuzuriha can't really hit at range 6, and her range 5 option is a 1 speeder that has no defenses on it. Looks like Vatista will be striking again. Range 3 mix up online. Mikoroseo also technically 5 speed, although I feel like this is not a Mikoroseo. But yeah, Yuzu just has to call the range 3 mix up here. Notably, Vatista also has a 1 cost ultra which ignores guard. But no, it looks like we're just going with the on-curve assault for the Vatista, which will pop the on-curve, etc. from Yuzuriha. So early lead here for Vatista, doing actually extremely well, up in cards and life. Poiman just guessing that Vatista would play a below curve option, but Vatista just goes for the solid assault there. Her advantage, of course. Honestly, I expect to see a prep here. I mean, that's I prep, but we don't. I guess this is our first. That's our second look at Vatista gameplay. Of course, it is. Of course, Vatista's turn still because she gained advantage. Vatista looks like she's gearing up for a strike. Notably, range 1 grasp from Vatista beats sweep, but not focus. So that's an interaction to look out for, just because of Vatista's UA. Vatista will be able to push extra spaces. Yuzuriha, of course, has that second copy of Focus in Kiri, basically. So Grasp is kind of an unsafe option, quote-unquote unsafe. And is the Grasp, but of course that Kiri second copy of Focus will hit back for 5 after armor and cannot be pushed or pulled. So yeah, going for Grasp, go for that Vatista Grasp against Yuzuriha. It's a little bit tough when you have 4 cards that cannot be pushed or pulled in the deck. Anyway, back to Yuzuriha here, who's only won her first combat. She's also at a range that's probably better for her. Yuzuriha's card quality is quite high when it comes to these brawly type cards. Of course, also boosting the +1 power, +1 speed after at to gauge the Ainsel Lost, I believe it's called. Just upping those stats there. Vatista, I believe, doesn't have access to speed, but does have access to power boosts. Notably, Vatista also only has 2 range 1 ultras in her kit that hit at range 1. That would be the Ruber Angelus and the the Zahishio. But no, it just looks like a standard sweep into focus trade here. Focus will do 1 more damage because of the boost on instant loss, and will add itself to gauge as well. Or the boost will add itself to gauge. Spike gets pulled out of the hand of Yuzu. Not the biggest deal in the world. Again, Yuzu has a second copy of Spike in Tachi. Actually, it's not. Is it Tachi? I don't know the names really. I know it's yellow on my proxies. So that's actually how I refer to Season 6. That's how I think of Season 6 cards. I think of them based on their color in my proxies. So Yuzu has 2 copies of yellow, which is Spike Plus. Anyway, 4-4 trade here. Back to Yuzuriha. Notably, Vatista doesn't really have a lot of range 1 options in her kit just because of her nature. She does have a bunch of ultras, but only 2 of those ultras actually hit at range 1, and they're not the best range 1 defensive options here. So I do expect to see, especially with Poiman's nature, I feel like Poiman, if he has a range 1 option, he's just gonna strike with it. Just because like I've seen this guy play before, and he's really he's a little loose when it comes to the resources. He doesn't mind going on low hand to try to play more offensively. He was actually mousing over that deck thinking that he was going to prep, but looks like he is not. Did not expect this. This feels weird to me. I've never seen this boosted in a way that like causes the exceed afterward. It's just highly volatile. Sure you get some value in that you're putting 2 cards into gauge. You lose Casho, which is like your really good ultra. I think that's like that card is so easy to hit confirm, and yeah, it doesn't stun and allows for trade possibilities afterward. But it's such a good game closer. I'm personally not a big fan of the Iris Blade boost there. And looks like the Curse Commandment coming out, +3 power, now strike with the card face off from engage. Yuzu's down 2 of those 4 can be pushed cards. Sweep also works. What is Poiman doing? I think he's forgotten that he's playing Season 6 and cannot strike from gauge. Can't like Yuzu action on defense, I think. No, he's got to find something better. 6 power grass coming out from Vatista. Curse Commandment, great boost to close out games. Don't know what is he doing. Looks like he's got like his cards stuck together or something. There you go, guy. So yeah, needs a sweep, focus, or 1 copy of sweep left, 1 copy of focus left, and 1 copy of Curie left. Nope, Grasp will beat the Wild Swing Grasp on the speed tie. Yuzu will take 6 damage, down to 9 HP. Didn't really recognize it until now, but Vatista's already got such a huge life lead. Notably, that Curse Commandment is also super nice because Vatista, like I was mentioning earlier, Vatista doesn't really have a ton of range 1 options at her arsenal, but that Curse Commandment at range 1 allows her to kind of repeat cards, which is useful because Vatista doesn't really have too many of those left over. We see a Grasp into Sweep already down. It's really just the normals for her at range 1. That said, because of Curse Commandment, Vatista can just stay at range 1 and repeat those attacks, which was done here. Looking at Poiman now, his gauge is not the best in that he's got a whole bunch of slows. Really, if you want to be striking with Yuzu UA in a situation like this, you really want like a good mix. You either want A, a good mix, or B, an unbeatable setup. Unfortunately, for Poiman, Yuzu's setup just completely loses to Cross, which is like really unfortunate. 4 of those 5 options also lose to Dive. In that Dive dodges over. Yeah, looks like Yuzu's declaring the UA with a bunch of slows. Cross is free. It's the Dive that comes out. It's a Hishio not free. In that there was a focus and a whatchamacallits, a Kiri in there, but sure, Zahishio, add all cards from your hand to gauge and gain advantage. 2 gauge cost. A little bit risky there. But I guess, I mean, obviously no cross in hand from Erika, otherwise she would have just rocked that 100%. But this beats the sweep, this beats the ultra, and this beats the dive, which was set. Dealing 2 damage to Yuzu and pushing 3, so getting Yuzu out of melee range, which is great here. Technically pushing 4, but can't be pushed that far. Actually, I guess, I don't know, technically Vatista could not have used her UA. Anyways, Sahishio also gains advantage afterward. This looks like a big change card's probably coming out here from Vatista, if I had to guess. Yep. Change cards 4, leaving 2 gauge in the tank. And basically just refueling here. Yuzu has to move in. Can't really afford to stay at range 4 with this kind of life deficit. And yep, here comes the Respect moving to range 1. Second Curse Commitment is available, but no Grasp, so it would have to be a sweep on that Curse Commitment if Vatista wanted to use that. Looks like Vatista thinking about boosting here, giving Yuzu the free cards. If you have like an Assault or something, you feel like you boost that, hop back to range 4, give Yuzu the 2 cards, but force her hand and make her move in anyway. Not a bad play there. But let's see what Erika decides to do here. Ooh, Vatista thinking about striking here. Has a good range 1 option. Good range 1 normal there, perhaps. Could also be second Zahishio, which would be funny. Because 2 out of the 4 can't be moves are gone. Response of over here, I feel like that just loses a lot of strikes, but I mean it beats the slows and loses the fast. So, oh, and looks like we will be beating the slow. So actually, well called out there from Poiman. So Poiman needs to just not pop the focus, and this armor will get stunned. But anyway, like all those are high value cards. Yuzu will be moving out of the way of this attack. And yes, there's going to be a 7 power over here. Unfortunately, what this means is that Yuzu will find herself at range 4. I mean, hey, good damage on that over here. Good call out from Poiman. Of course, we'll have to advance our retreat 6, I believe. Or is it advance retreat 7? That doesn't really matter. Armabellum gets stunned, can't hit anyway. Just no after on that. Well called out. Well called out there from Poiman, recognizing that hey, sometimes you need to go for those bigger bets, and just correctly sussing out that Vatista didn't really have a cross. And of course, that over here gets discarded, cannot be added to gauge per Yuzuriha's passive on her backside UA, which is probably for the best actually. Over here doesn't seem like the best draw. Actually, no. I mean, it's a fine mid speed, especially at range 3. Poiman's almost assuredly going to have to move in here again. He does have blocks left, so maybe he could prep. He can afford to prep or CC. You know, like CC that Ultra in the gauge. Maybe a couple cards in hand as well, depending on what they are. Or he has to move in. I think last time time he found himself in this situation, i.e. last turn, he boosted Respect. So clearly he doesn't have a second Respect, otherwise he'd just be mashing that right now, I'm assuming. Spends 2 force to move to range 2. 2 force from hand is interesting. I guess this means that Poiman is just going to be relying on those slow cards in gauge, but now this gives Vatista a chance to strike with cross. And this cross is essentially unreactable. It's Yuzuriha. So yeah. Interesting, goes for the assault instead. Beats out the 3 to 5 7 1. We'll take 4 damage. Slightly under curve, but at the same time, seemed all right. He's only had 1 card in hand. I believe there was 1 copy of Is that a wild swing from Vatista? What is that? What? What? What is going? What? Why? Why is this happening? What? Okay, wild swing spikes versus wild swing spike at range 1. I mean, I guess if you had that on your bingo card, you can cross that off. But Jesus, what is? Why? I mean, I guess Vatista does technically have decent wild swing odds there. Decent, not great. I don't know. She could have like spent force to move back. She could have. You know, I mean, it happened. It happened. Now Yuzu, of course. Now Yuzu. I presume that Yuzu will try to go for the slow and hope that there's no cross in the hand of Vatista. As we see a zoom in here on don't know what. Yeah, Yuzu going for the UA. Vatista probably Vatista striking rather quickly. Cross just kind of owns the slows here. Poiman giving the gauge a good shuffle. Is the ultra? Nope, just gets blocked. So Poiman will actually have to spend a second gauge on that. Would be a 6 power ultra, or sorry, 8 power ultra. Excuse me. Vatista, of course, with her 5 ultras, can almost assuredly afford this. Cleanup effect unfortunately doesn't go off. Poiman discards the focus from his gauge. Vatista discards a dive from hand. We'll need to spend 1 more force. No, that is an 8 power ultra. So we'll need to spend 1 more force. Okay. Spends 1 of the assaults from gauge to take 2. Both players have 1 card. Notably, Yuzuriha did try to wild swing. No, both these players tried to wild swing at range 1 the last time they were in this scenario, and they haven't drawn cards. And Vatista just going for another. Okay, wait, no. Yuzuriha going for a revert prep. Okay, fine. Not the highest value from that backside UA, and I would just expected him to keep going, but I guess now he's scared of those crosses from Vatista. Which, like, when is a cross coming out? I feel like I've been calling out this cross for ages, and it just hasn't been coming out. I guess Vatista just hasn't been drawing him. Is this the cross? Notably, Poiman at 3 HP, so needs armor. Probably needs armor this strike to stay alive of some sort. As we see some dynamic camera work from Mix. Keep up the good work, buddy. Cross? Yeah, no, I feel like Cross wasn't winning a ton of combats there. Cross beats Cross from Vatista, and that is game. I'm assuming Poiman's hand was checkmated by Cross. So he just like played to his outs. But no, not meant to be. Vatista taking game 2 over Yuzuriha in pretty good fashion there. So now the set's tied 1-1. Poiman will be forced to play Yuzuriha for game 3. And Erika has 2 characters left that I can't remember. Can't remember what they are. I think one's beheaded. Don't remember the second one. But obviously you can check out the next video and check out the thrilling conclusion to this set. Alright guys, take care.